Hey guys, David here, new Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. this week. This was the episode that I was waiting for. The one that I was hoping I would get at the very beginning of the season when I was kind of going through the notions of being just slightly disappointed by the premise of how it advanced time and we were in a dystopian future, and I was like, I'm not sure how I feel about this. This was the episode that I was hoping for it to come around sooner rather than later, that would then turn my opinion around and make me actually enjoy and really fully embrace the entire aesthetic of what's going to be season 5. For one, it started off like kind of like a basic episode that could have easily been filler. In any other person's hands, it would have been a filler episode with like some kind of bottle mission, and then from that point forward, it's like, okay, well, what was the purpose of that? There was a very good feeling of purpose to almost every single little storyline that was happening in this episode that all built up to something. It was always something that was kind of anchoring everything, some kind of MacGuffin that was bringing our characters to something kind of bigger and moving forward to an ending that made me actually clap. So let's start off with what I kind of perceived to be the weaker one, even though it was still very damn good. It was the whole Coulson and May trying to track down Deke and figure out what exactly is going on, especially after hearing rumors that there's a floor that's harvesting Creed text. We're like, okay, we could work that. And I really liked this storyline, even though it wasn't necessarily my favorite, because it's still kind of feeding off that dystopian future thing, but kind of cranks it up to 11 in a very conversation starting way where, oh, we're dealing with the whole sterilization of the human populace a la Children of Men. And I've always been a sucker for that storyline when it comes to dystopian futures and having the population being diminished because people can't pregnant anymore. So you could argue it borrows from that heavily. Children of Men is the first thing that came to my mind, but it still treats it in a way that kind of feels appropriate for the situation. And I'm like, and again, I'm a sucker for that type of storyline. So I'm like, okay, cool, if you could do it right, I'll be able to take it. The only thing that was kind of difficult to stomach was Deke. I gotta be honest, I'm not sure how I'm feeling about this character up until this point. At the end of the episode from last week, I thought that the whole thing of him playing the cards and being like, oh yeah, I'm betraying you, but it's all for the greater good, like there's gonna be some kind of backup plan. I appreciate that they didn't full on backup plan and be like, oh, there's a reason for that, but he's still like a Weasley character that I just cannot fully support. Even after bringing forward not only his background about what happened to his mother and all this stuff, but also the revelation that the voice that he heard from the transmission is actually his father. I was like, yeah, this would be the moment that I would root for you, except I can't root for you because there's just something kind of annoying about you, because in literally every scene they've had in this entire fucking season, you do the same thing. You guys are crazy. You guys want to die. You guys want to go do what you're not supposed to do, over and over again, and I just cannot find it in myself to really supporting it behind that. So you can only imagine how relieved and how comically relieved I was to just have not only Coulson but then Yoyo and Mac just kind of come out of literally nowhere and just lock his ass up and literally like seal away the entire door for him to be able to get out. I was like, really? Wow, okay. You even acknowledge that this guy's getting on his fucking nerves. Speaking of Yoyo and Mac, again, their storyline could have easily been a filler one where they're going off trying to beat up this dude for money because they're working up for that dickhead. I was like, okay, but they did something emotionally investing with it because they tied it back to something that was ultimately one of the more palpable storylines from season 4, or at least the ending of season 4, with the whole framework situation about Max still dealing with the consequences from the framework, trying to distinguish between the real hope that he lost back prior to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then the fake hope that he lost again in the framework, and him coming to terms with that in the reflection that he saw with this guy who's trying to hopefully progress the human civilization with this baby that is not supposed to be happening in the first place. And I love the dynamic, I love the reflection and how this all kind of came full circle. And again, they turned what could have been a storyline filler for the episode into something that was just emotionally impactful and made me go, wow, I'm going to remember this from this episode. Then we got Daisy and how she's going to figure out herself out of the situation that she finds herself in, now facing Cassius herself. And it's funny because there's several things that I liked about the storyline. For one, it's the introduction of brand new Inhumans that I think I'm going to like the dude, the really swole dude. It's a Marvel property, so he's got to be swole. But this guy who can read minds, I really dug his power and how he was able to utilize this power in this episode. I'm hoping he gets a little bit deeper, because even though he's a likable character and he's supposed to be one of our heroes that's helping out our main characters, You gotta deepen him a little bit, because he's still tending to kind of do dimensional, but it's only his introductory episode, so I'm nitpicking at this point. And the only other nitpick I would have is that Daisy didn't evolve that much in this episode, but again, okay, we've had that. We've had seasons of that, whatever. What I loved, however, was a scene that is just so cleverly written, with Daisy telling her side of the story of things, the fake story, and Cassius playing the cards very well, with then another character playing the cards even better in that scene of obstructing sound and trying to match the stories. I love that scene. And then the brand new Inhuman character being able to siphon thoughts from one room to another. I love that, and I love how he was able to kind of utilize this entire scene and make it where it was rather tense. And I was like, oh, when you get that payoff at the end of having them exchange the thoughts, I thought was really, really cool. And this all led up to the auction scene at the very end, where we finally get our man, Fitz, finally returns to the show. What a great way to end the episode after the Walking Dead-ish kind of cliffhanger of what happened to May. You just see what's-her-face rubbing her balls. Phrasing, but you see blood on them, and you don't exactly see how that ending, the ending of that fight played out. At least I don't think I did, unless I looked away at the wrong moment. I don't know, I can't remember, but I don't remember ever there being a resolution for that fight scene, which was a really cool fight scene between May and that girl. There was an awful lot of good choreography that kind of reminded me of some previous seasons where you got, like, for example, when May fought herself, or like the agent, whatever her face, who got her face burnt off, and it was interesting camera tricks and stuff that they did with the choreography. Kind of reminded me an awful lot of that, so that was cool. Not a huge fan of how they cliffhangered it with whether or not she's alive or not. She's probably still alive, but what state she's in, who knows? We'll have to wait. But in the meantime, we can satisfy ourselves with the return of Fitz. Of course, it's left as the cliffhanger, so how he figured himself out back into this time, what is his end game, why is he looking like Negan from The Walking Dead with that scarf? We'll find out in the next episode, but I think it was a really cool play that we saw that bounty hunter, whatever the hell he was, in the background for the longest time, and finally it turns out to be Fitz. Really well played, guys. Really well played, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So nitpicks aside, and them having to work heavily on Deke to make him an actual worthy character of this show, this episode really did subvert my expectations, because I was expecting it to be filler, and it ended up being a very essential puzzle piece to making me actually appreciate and embrace the aesthetic of the new season. It makes me go, you know what? All those things that I was talking, all that shit talking I was doing in the season 5 premiere, I think I'm turning myself around finally. Here's to hoping that they don't undo that in any kind of way. So I will give Life Earned a very enthusiastic high 8 out of 10. So far, if I'm not mistaken, my favorite episode of the season. Granted, we're only into 4, but 3, because the first episode was actually 2, but whatever. I know we're early on in the season. We still got another, what is it, 18 episodes left to go. We'll see what is in store for us, but so far, an episode that is a very pleasant surprise. And I'm hoping that we're into some more pleasant surprises from here on out, because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they love to do that. So, if you guys have seen the episode, let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. Make sure you like and share this video to support. And I'll see you guys all next time when I review the next episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. In the meantime, if you have not seen the movie, be sure to check out my spoiler-free review of Star Wars The Last Jedi. It's on my channel now. You can check it out. No spoilers, so you have nothing to worry about. If you have already seen the film, then please stay tuned to see my spoiler discussion on the film. Still contemplating as to whether or not I'm going to go see the movie a second time, but in the meantime, you can kind of keep up to date with that by hitting the subscribe button down below. Until next time, guys, see you all later. Especially when you get the majority of your minority characters and put them on a side quest mission that was, in my opinion, just a little preachy. When you got Finn, this girl Rose, who happens to be an Asian woman, and then another character who also happens to be a minority. I thought that was just the butt of a joke, and I was like, ugh, does nobody else see this?